Here we are, guys, the final episode in this little mini-series where we try and pinpoint the players in Major League Baseball with the best chance to make the Hall of Fame. Now, I did break it down into 3 different parts. Part 1 was the older players of baseball. Part number 2 was the younger generation, anyone from 25 years and younger. Now, part number 3, we're going to talk about the Mike Trouts of the world, the Bryce Harpers, the Jacob DeGroms, anyone that is in the age range of 26 to about 32 years old. This one is going to get pretty spicy, so I want you guys to follow along. Make sure you watch all the way until the end, because at the end we're going to talk about the guys that are going to be in the Hall of Very Good and just missed the cut. So if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and leave a like on this video as well as subscribe. And without further ado, the first player on today's video, someone that is going to blow you away when I read off their stats. Mookie Betts. When I was doing research for this video and I came across Mookie Betts and his stats, my jaw almost dropped to the floor. So I'm going to keep it very, very simple. There's a stat out there from Baseball Reference. It's called the JAWS stat. So JAWS. It's pretty much just a 7-year peak average for all the Hall of Famers at that player's position. So the 7-year peak WAR for a right fielder that's in the Hall of Fame is 41.8 in 7 years. Mookie Betts in 5.5 seasons already has a 41.8 WAR, which is insane. He's won an MVP. He's a 4-time Gold Glove winner. He basically already has 140 home runs to go along with 130 stolen bases before turning 27 years old. So I don't want to jinx anyone, so I'm not going to give anyone a 100%. Actually, there's 2 guys that are going to get a 100%. But Mookie Betts is going to get a solid 90% chance of making the Hall of Fame. Dude is an all-time talent. Honestly, he could retire today and he might get some votes. Coming up next, we're talking about one of the most prolific power hitters that we have seen in quite some time. I'm going to compare Christian Yelich, who is the next player, to a guy that just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, Larry Walker. I'm bringing up Larry Walker because he played in Coors Field. He doesn't have 2,500 base hits, but he still made the Hall of Fame. So I'm trying to give you guys my best examples and compare specific players that are already in the Hall of Fame or could have a chance of being inducted sometime soon. So I think that Christian Yelich is the best compared to Larry Walker. Not with the defense though. Although Christian Yelich did win a Gold Glove at 22 years old, he is not the same defender. It's pretty much apples to oranges, but as a hitter, they can really be compared. Christian Yelich won an MVP in 2018 and then got better in 2019. So let's say that Yelich averages a 6 WAR for the next 5 seasons. He'll be sitting at 44 plus over the course of his 7-year peak prime. If you compare that to the right fielders in the Hall of Fame already, their 7-year peak on average in terms of WAR was 41.7. So Christian Yelich is on pace to shatter that. He already has a good amount of base hits on his resume. I think that he could have a similar career path as Larry Walker and get in because of the guys that care more about analytics and prime as opposed to longevity. So with that being said, I'm going to give Christian Yelich a 60% chance of making the Hall of Fame. He's still young. He's got a few prime years ahead of him. And that kind of moves me into the next player, Jacob DeGrom. Someone that maybe isn't as young as Christian Yelich, obviously, but is entering their prime. And their prime is a lot different than some of the guys on this list. They're so much better at what they do than about 99.9% of the guys in baseball that it makes it seem almost unfair to compare them to anyone else. Jacob DeGrom is a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner, and he has a 2.62 career ERA in 6 seasons. I'm going to compare him to Justin Verlander because we all know that Verlander is a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. But he got better with age, just like Jacob DeGrom. He's 32 years old, but the only thing holding him back right now is the Mets. They cannot give him wins, and he's sitting at 66 at 32 years old. So that's going to be his biggest drawback. Is he going to get enough votes? Because if you think about it, he could end his career with under 100 wins, but have one of the best primes in baseball history. That's the thing. Wins are so overrated for a pitcher that do you consider them anymore? I don't know. So when you put all of that into one conversation, does Jacob DeGrom have a good chance of making the Hall of Fame? Because of his lack of wins, which I think people will feel weird putting him in the Hall of Fame if he doesn't surpass 100, I'm going to give him a 50-50 chance. He has all the talent in the world, but I think he needs a little bit more help from his teammates. We're going to have some fun right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to turn it back to you, and I want you guys, the viewers, to give me a percentage on the next 2 players. They're both part of the 2017 Astros, so I wanted to have some fun with you guys. Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman. What do you guys think? What do you give them as a percentage to make the Hall of Fame going forward? Jose Altuve is most likely going to have 2,500 base hits, 200 home runs, and 300 stolen bases in his career. He's kind of a poor man's Ryan Sandberg. And then Alex Bregman just had a top 10 third base season of all time with 41 bombs, 19 walks to only 83 strikeouts, and he saved 12 runs defensively. He's kind of a Eddie Matthews 2.0, but better defensively. So what do you give Bregman? What do you give Altuve? They're both elite at what they do. It's just the fact that no one likes them. 7 years ago today, Mike Trout hit his first cycle. I don't think it's going to be his last. And also yesterday, his rookie card just sold for just under $1 million. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys the stats right now, even though you don't need them. Through 7 seasons, the average peak WAR for a center fielder already in the Hall of Fame is 44.7. Mike Trout in 7 seasons had 64.1. That is not fair. It doesn't make sense to me. Mike Trout will go down as one of the best baseball players that anyone has ever seen in their entire lifetime, and I think it's going to stay that way for quite some time, because if I'm looking at the field of baseball right now, I don't see anyone with this level of talent. I don't. And just to throw him in real quick, the only other player on today's list that is going to get a 100% from me, someone that could cartwheel into the Hall of Fame, is Clayton Kershaw. So let's talk about him right now. 3 Cy Young Awards, an MVP over 7 seasons with a lifetime 2.44 ERA in 12 seasons. I mean, he's pretty much the Mike Trout of pitchers, just not in the postseason because neither of those guys really have much success. Ooh, here we go. This one is going to be a hot take if I've ever seen one. Bryce Harper. Uh-oh. Is he going to get a 50%? Is he going to get a 10%? Is he going to get a 90%? Let's go ahead and break down his career thus far. He's won a Rookie of the Year. He's won an MVP in 2015 and also had a crazy 2017 before basically tearing his ACL on a crazy play at first base where his knee just buckled. The only thing is, he had a negative 24 DRS in 2018, and then 2019 happened where he flipped the script. He went from a negative 24 DRS to a positive 10 DRS, so that's pretty much Bryce Harper in a nutshell. He is one of the most inconsistent players I've ever seen. He goes from hitting 42 home runs and winning MVP to not really doing well, back to doing well, not doing well, back to doing well. I just don't know what to make. He's already at 1,000 base hits. He already has 220 career home runs and an 897 OPS before 27. That's really good, and age is going to be his best proponent. Now, so far, I don't think he has these stats, or I don't think that he's on pace, so I'm going to give him a 50% chance. Francisco Lindor, in my opinion, the perfect shortstop. He plays platinum defense. He can steal you 20 plus bags. He also has 30 to 38 home run power as a switch hitter. Francisco Lindor is going to get an 80% from me. He's on pace to surpass 2,000 base hits, maybe even 300 home runs. That's how good he is as a power hitter. He's going to steal anywhere from 150 to 200 stolen bases and collect Gold Glove after Gold Glove. So even if he ages, he can go from elite hitter to above average hitter. He can go from elite defender to above average defender, and then so on and so forth. So I think that Lindor can be an excellent contributor to any ball club in the game for the next 10 years. I think he can play until he's 36, 37 years old. Honestly, he's that good. He's that passionate. He keeps in great shape. Lindor, I'm going to knock on wood, is getting that 80% from me. We're going to talk about Nolan Arenado in a future video. I promise you guys, do not miss it. Make sure you have your notifications turned on and subscribe. But Nolan Arenado, very, very simple. He has an 866 OPS on the road. So let's get that argument out the way. He is not a product of Coors Field. 6 straight Gold Gloves, 2 Platinum Gloves, and on pace for well over 2,000 base hits, well over 450 home runs. Yeah, Mike Schmidt 2.0, he's going to get an 80% from me. Arenado, I mean, what more can you ask for? If you say he's overrated, nah, don't, just click off the video now. Real quick, I do want to bring up Matt Chapman in the same breath as Nolan Arenado, simply because they're the best third basemen in the game and they went to the same high school, so they have to go hand in hand. I think that Chapman is the better defender. He has 2 Platinum Gloves as well, but in 3 seasons. He has back-to-back 8.3 WAR seasons, which is insanity. His defense is that good. Chapman's going to be 27 years old, and he only has 365 career base hits, so I'm going to give him a chance at 30%, but it's going to be a whole lot harder than Arenado. Arenado, because Arenado was able to start his career a whole lot sooner and he's been more consistent. Moving along, we're going to talk about the first pitcher since Clayton Kershaw with a pretty good chance to make the Hall of Fame. He has a World Series MVP. He's on pace to strike out 2,500 plus hitters. The only thing that is holding Steven Strasburg back is the fact that his longevity doesn't look all that great. Now, he did have a pretty healthy 2019, and then into the postseason, obviously, he won the World Series MVP. I see a lot of John Smoltz and Steven Strasburg, so with that being said, remember what I said at the beginning of the video. Anyone with 60% and above, I truly think is going to be a future Hall of Famer. 50% is nothing to shake your head at, but that's what I'm going to give Strasburg, a 50-50 chance, just because it's really hard to project if he's going to stay healthy or not. And the same goes for Garrett Cole. Pitching is so volatile. If you look at the career of Johan Santana, he was going to walk into the Hall of Fame as well, but then injuries and father time caught up to him, so it's really hard to predict pitchers. So Jacob DeGrom and Garrett Cole, they're both going to get a 50% chance from me. I think that Garrett Cole looks to be Bob Feller 2.0, someone that really does not give up a ton of runs and strikes out a ton of hitters. Garrett Cole is going to be really special for the Yankees. I can't predict all that well going forward. He's got the stuff, he just has to stay healthy. Still to this day, I really have no idea what Paul Goldschmidt stands for, what he talks about, or what he even sounds like, because he never says anything. He lets his stick and play on the field do all the talking. His 40.3 WAR from 2012 to 2018 easily puts him on pace if we're talking about the 7-year peak prime for first basemen already in the Hall of Fame. He's got 3 Gold Glove. He's stolen 130 bags as a first baseman. Good Lord, we're literally looking at Jeff Bagwell 2.0. Simply saying, he gets a 70% from me. I think that Paul Goldschmidt is super underrated, and his down season for the Cardinals was still an elite first baseman year. This dude is special. I love Paul Goldschmidt. Also, he's not dramatic at all. He just plays the game, goes home, plays the game. I love him. Manny Machado has all of the talent in the world, but considering a lot of people don't like him because he steps on cleats and he likes to argue and really fight people, do you think that writers are going to use that against him and keep him out the Hall? If we take a look at his stats though, he was on pace for the All-Star break of 2018. So if we take a look with the Dodgers and then his 2019 season with the Padres, he has really slipped up. I don't know if it's an injury or just he lost it. I can't really pinpoint as to why Manny Machado is not playing like Manny Machado. But considering his power potential and elite defense, I truly think that he can go down as Scott Rowland 2.0. I don't think that he's Adrian Beltre 2.0 because Chapman is more of that power hitter with elite defense. Machado is good, but he's not Beltre or Chapman or even Arenado good. So I'm going to put him as Scott Rowland 2.0, who honestly should be in the Hall of Fame. He has a 70 career WAR. I don't get what we're looking at. What are we doing here? Manny Machado gets a 60% from me. So now it comes down to the point where we have to talk about Aaron Judge, and this really does hurt to say, but I give him a 30% chance to make the Hall of Fame. Now hear me out. I'm not saying he has a 30% chance because he doesn't have the skills. He has all of the skills in the world. He's an all-time right field talent. Yes, he strikes out a lot, but who else in baseball history can have 50 home run power and save 45 runs in their first couple seasons as a defender? Can you believe that? His ceiling is 50 home runs and 20 DRS. He had 20 defensive run saves last year in 2019. He is literally Andrew Jones 2.0, but a better hitter. That's crazy to say. And while we're on the subject of guys that can hit 50 home runs and play some pretty good defense, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge's teammate, is going to get a 50% chance. I say that because he's going to be 30 years old. He has a chance, because he's playing in Yankee Stadium, to hit 500 home runs over the course of his career. The lineup is there. He's going to get a ton of pitches. Just like Aaron Judge, he has to stay healthy. But considering Giancarlo Stanton does have the MVP, he's a multiple-time All-Star player, he's got the outfield assist, he's a pretty good defender if you ask me. Aaron Judge gets 30%. Giancarlo Stanton, because he has way more under his belt and on his resume, is going to get a 50% chance. This might be a wild comparison, but I'm going to say that Javier Baez is the Aaron Judge of infielders. If you think about it, they both have the potential to have good power at their position. They strike out a lot and they play supreme defense. In 2019, Javier Baez had a 3.3 defensive WAR. That's higher than some players get altogether, factoring in defense and offense. So Javier Baez legit is a superstar, but the only thing is, just like Aaron Judge, they both didn't have their first breakout season until they were 25 years old, and now injuries are starting to creep in. Baseball's not fair, life is not fair. I could bring up Grady Sizemore, that he was on pace to be on the Hall of Fame, and then injuries took their toll. I'm gonna knock on wood all the way with every single one of these players. I'm not trying to jinx any of them, but for right now, Judge, Stanton, Baez, they all fall in the category of superstar talent with injury and longevity concerns. So for right now, Javier Baez is also going to get a 30% chance, because if you think about it, he's almost 27 years old and doesn't even have 700 base hits yet. It's going to be tough. And the final two players on today's video who I think have a decent chance of making the Hall of Fame, before we start talking about the Hall of Very Good Players, Anthony Rizzo and Freddie Freeman. I'm going to lump them together because they kind of flip-flop who is better as the years progress. One year Anthony Rizzo's better, the next year Freddie Freeman's better. One year Freeman has a bad defensive year but is better offensively. The next year Rizzo is worse defensively but better. So they pretty much flip-flop back and forth of who's better. And I'm going to compare them to one single player that is not in the Hall of Fame but has a chance. The Veterans Committee can still put you in the Hall of Fame with their vote. We're talking about Fred McGriff, someone that has 400 career home runs, over 2,500 base hits. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe it's the defense that kept him out, because Rizzo and Freddie Freeman, again, they are elite offensive players, not the best defenders. I think that Rizzo is a whole lot better than Freeman defensively, but we have to look at history and consider that there is a precedent that has been set. A walking 30 home run, 100 RBI guy with no speed and average defense, Fred McGriff, did not get inducted. So Anthony Rizzo and Freddie Freeman are not going to get a percent from me. I have to wait until Fred McGriff gets inducted or not via the Veterans Committee. And that's pretty much going to do it for today's videos, guys. We talked about all of the players who, in my opinion, have the best chance to make the Hall of Fame. Now we're going to talk about the Hall of Very Good guys that are probably just going to miss the cut. Andrelton Simmons just suffered the worst season in 4 years and is now 30 years old, so I think his range is going to decrease a little bit as a shortstop. Trevor Story, a 767 OPS away from Coors Field in 2019. He is a much more efficient hitter at home than he is away, and it's not even really close. I think that Hall of Fame voters are going to crush him for that. He also strikes out way too much. George Springer, he got a late start and often is injured. Chris Bryant was easily on pace because he was an elite hitter and above average defender. Now he is an above average hitter and a terrible defender, so he's gonna have a hard time as well. DJ LeMahieu, he needs to take advantage of Yankee Stadium and his lineup to really have a shot. Aroldis Chapman, Craig Kimbrell, and Josh Hader. If Billy Wagner can't get in because he didn't have 1,000 innings pitched, it's going to be really hard for these next three guys to get in. So thank you all so much for watching. That is going to conclude my series, my little mini series talking about all of Major League Baseball players, whether they're young players, middle-aged players, or older players with the best chance to make the Hall of Fame. That's my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it. If you disagree, please let me know in the comment section down below. Do not forget to leave a like and subscribe because I worked very hard on this video. It took forever. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. The fun does not stop here. If you guys are looking for some more content, or if you're just really bored, there are 2 more videos on the screen right now. What are you doing? Click on them. They're fun.